The UK pub crisis explained. Why Britain's beloved locals are vanishing. If you've walked past your local pub recently and seen the lights off and the doors shut, you're not alone. Across the UK, pubs are disappearing at a staggering rate. The crisis facing Britain's beloved locals isn't just about fewer people buying pints. It's about a perfect storm of rising costs, shifting habits, and government policies. These aren't temporary hiccups. They're long-term trends threatening the very heart of British culture. In this video, we're breaking down exactly what's happening, why it matters, and whether anything can be done to stop it. Let's start with energy, because it's been one of the biggest and most brutal blows. Energy bills have become a silent killer for pubs across the country. Since late 2021, and especially through 2022 to 2024, energy bills for pubs have exploded. And it's not just pubs. Energy costs have crippled businesses of all kinds, from cafes to corner shops, forcing many to shut their doors for good. Some landlords have reported their monthly electricity and gas bills shooting up from around £1,000 to over £4,000. And these aren't isolated cases. Case studies from real pubs paint a grim picture. A once manageable £1,200 energy bill can now exceed £5,000. That's over 4 times higher. No small business, let alone one already operating on slim margins, can absorb that kind of cost increase without facing serious consequences. Most households in the UK benefited from energy price caps, but businesses, including pubs, weren't offered the same protection. That meant they were exposed to the full force of the global gas crisis, made worse by the COVID-19 recovery and Russia's invasion of Ukraine. While homes saw some cushion from rising energy prices, pub owners had to choose between slashing staff, cutting services, or raising prices, and often all three. What business can survive when a core cost like energy multiplies overnight? The answer is most can't, but energy isn't the only operational cost that's soared. In April 2025, the UK government increased employer national insurance contributions from 13.8% to 15%, while also lowering the threshold from £9,100 to £5,000. This one policy change added an eye-watering £3.4 billion in annual costs across the hospitality sector. The result, over 60% of pubs and hospitality business have had to cut staff. More than half have cancelled investment plans, and some have simply given up. Then there are business rates. These local property taxes have risen sharply since relief schemes were reduced. Take a pub with a rateable value of £100,000. It now pays around £19,000 more in taxes every year. To cover just that, they need to sell 170 more pints every single day. And let's not forget food and beverage costs, which have also increased. From beer deliveries to food ingredients, pubs are being squeezed at every turn. When pubs try to pass on some of their rising costs to customers, it causes another issue: higher prices. In April 2025, inflation in the UK hit 3.5%. With energy, food, and housing all becoming more expensive, consumers have less money to spend. For pubs, this is a double blow. Not only are their costs going up, but their customers have less disposable income to spend. The average price of a pint has now reached £5.17. In some London venues, it's even higher. That kind of pricing is forcing casual pubgoers to rethink their habit. Many are now choosing cheaper alternatives at home or simply cutting back. Supermarket beer sales are rising, while on-premise drinking declines. So, while the cost of keeping the lights on and staff pay has surged, the number of customers willing or able to pay pub prices has dropped. It's a no-win scenario. Pubs can't afford to lower prices, and customers can't afford to pay more. 3. A surge in pub closures. Let's talk numbers because they're sobering. In the first 3 months of 2025 alone, 303 pubs permanently shut their doors. That's more than 3 every day. And behind each closure is a family, a staff team, a community event space, and 100 memories wiped away overnight. If the trend continues, industry analysts predict that nearly half of all UK pubs and clubs could be gone by 2030. That would amount to the greatest cultural loss in British hospitality history. But it's not just about money. Culture is changing too. There's a growing shift in consumer habits, particularly among younger generations, towards low or no alcoholic drinks. This trend has grown into a fully fledged movement. Wellness culture, health consciousness, and social media trends have all played a role. This is great for health, but problematic for traditional pubs whose business models rely on alcohol sales. Some pubs have adapted by offering alcohol-free menus, and more food options, but that requires investment, and as we've already seen, most pubs are cutting back, not expending. Younger consumers also increasingly prefer to drink at home, use delivery apps, or socialise online. For them, the pub is no longer the centre of the social universe. So even if pubs solve the cost problem, they still face a demand problem. Habits have changed, and they may not change back. It's worth asking, is this just a UK problem? The answer appears to be no, but the intensity is worse here. Interestingly, running a bar or pub-style venue in parts of the US is significantly cheaper. Energy costs in the US are lower. The average commercial electricity rate is around about 13 cents per kilowatt hour. In the UK, that same cost is over 45 cents per kilowatt hour. That's more than triple. Alcohol duties and taxes in the US are also generally lower, and in many states, businesses benefit from more favourable local taxes and rates. Some states actively subsidise hospitality through grants and tax relief. Of course, US bars have their own challenges, like insurance and labour costs, but the financial model isn't as punishing as what UK publicans are currently facing. In short, the UK is becoming one of the most difficult Western countries to run a pub in. Right now, it's simply easier to run a business elsewhere than in the UK. The country is becoming increasingly hostile to small and medium-sized enterprises, weighed down by rising taxes, regulation, and sky-high operating costs. In fact, the UK experienced a decline in the number of companies registered with Companies House during the fourth quarter of 2024, the first drop since quarterly reporting began in April to June 2012. That's not just a blip, it's a signal that something is deeply wrong in the business environment. The Labour government has introduced a range of measures aimed at supporting small businesses and the struggling pub sector. These include changes to business rates, a slight cut in draft beer duty, increased tax relief for smaller brewers, and plans to tackle late payments. They've also raised the threshold for employer national insurance contributions, which could ease pressure on some employers. Additionally, Labour has proposed revitalising high streets through community ownership rights and banking hubs. While these steps are designed to help, it remains to be seen whether they will be enough to reverse the long-term decline facing pubs and small businesses across the UK.